This is a channel of friends who don't know how to talk to one another about our feelings, and so we just record podcasts indirectly responding to one another. It's the sisterhood of traveling casts. So, this is in response to Digi's Don't Admire Me, goddamn episode special of his compression chamber show. I guess all I can say is I disagree that being a constant work person at all times makes you not feel good, or that it has to come from a place of not feeling good in order to pull it off. I mean, all I really do is I just look at myself. Digi advises don't admire my lifestyle, me and Jesse's lifestyle. Well, he's a bit late to tell that to me because I was doing that back in like 2013. Listening to like their earliest podcasts together, thinking, man, this lifestyle, both its advantages and its disadvantages, both sound really interesting and fun for me to try and figure out. And so I went into it and I did it, and now I've done it and I've succeeded and I feel great. It's kind of weird. Like I didn't feel that good. I didn't feel like I had a solid direction in life. And so I took that direction and then I succeeded at it, and now I feel fine. So I guess in my own opinion, my own life disproves what Digi was saying. It's obviously not like anyone could make it happen, or even a lot of people, or even a slim minority. I might be the only one ever, but it happens. Like, you can have... I mean, Digi even said in the PCP chat that, like, I feel like if people are going to try and imitate me, they have to be all of me. And I don't agree at all. Let me turn the gain down. I'm getting way more passionate about this than I thought I would be. Digi's attribute of being someone who works all the time because he can't think of anything else to do with his life, I guess he sees it as being inherently coupled with whatever depressiveness he also has or was born with. And like, I don't think that's the case for me. I feel like I also have that attribute of I can't think of anything else I want to do with my life than create things constantly, but I feel fine about it. Like, I don't like seek anything else. I don't feel unsatisfied. I feel perfectly satisfied. So there you go. Like, as even though me and Digi are on such similar wavelengths creatively, like in certain aspects we have very similar wavelengths. He can just come up and start telling me his idea for an upcoming video project, and I think I get it more than most people would be able to get it, other than I guess Lachlan Still, who goes out of his way to study Digi's oeuvre. But yeah, I get it. We're on very similar wavelengths. Despite all of that, we're on very different wavelengths in terms of just like being. Like our aura, if you will, is like really different, and it's becoming difficult for me. Like as you know, Digi's planning on like moving to another city at some point soon, and I'm gonna go with him, assuming we can afford that kind of stuff. And I fully intend to like have my own place, ideally like with my girlfriend and stuff. That'd be cool. But even if she wasn't around, like I still kind of wanted to have my own place, because like Digi is amazing to be around, but like being around him all the time depresses me. It like makes me sad. Because it's like, in order to be around him, I kind of, as of the last couple of weeks, I realized that like the only way to like really talk to him without like risking making him annoyed all the time at me is to like act really down and like talk really quietly and then like have a pained expression on my face half the time. I'm basically like role playing someone who's in constant pain. And it seems like I'm able to talk to him much more easily with a lot less awkwardness. I might be wrong, but I think that is the case, because it's like, by default, my aura is so much different from his that he just doesn't know what to do. Like, I just kind of like show up and like I start saying words and he just gets pissed off at me. Like, Digi will say that like, oh, in my vlogs and stuff, I'm all lit up and I'm moving around, and actually, I'll just say this. I know this from personal experience. When Digi's in front of a camera recording a pointed statement, he's all like, yo, this and that anime snob doesn't know what he's talking about. But in real life, he's just really slow moving, and he just sort of like looks around. He almost looks like he has a totally different face to me. It's like he has a totally different presence when he's just walking around the house. looking at something, and like every sentence he says, it like frightens me that he's about to explain something terrible. It like makes me really nervous. He has a completely different energy. For me, I feel like I have the same energy, the same type of feel one way or another. Like the way I'm talking right now, I'm making sure to enunciate better than normal. I'm not succeeding super well. I still have a cough. Let me go edit out that cough. Okay, I just coughed, and I edited it out. Don't worry. Anyway, I'm trying to enunciate better, for the microphone, but the volume at which I am speaking is the kind of volume I like to talk at with normal people. But lately when I've been talking to Digi, I like to just go like, okay, this, okay, that, okay, the other thing, okay, because it just seems more palatable to him. And it's hard. I want to live separately with my girlfriend, find some other social circle of people who feel like me, even if I can't relate to like their artistic ideas or their analytical concepts at all. I just need that energy in my life, I guess. I don't know what the difference is, but I just don't feel depressive about things. I feel fine. And like, Reach. I've never had as much like depression weighing down on me as I think most depressed people have been. Like when I was a teenager, I thought of myself as being depressed, but like at the time even, I called it very mild. I called it mild depression because I was like, whenever I talk to some peer of mine, they seem a lot more miserable than I am. So like clearly I'm better off. I still hate how I am. I hate that I can't think of anything to do with my life. It's constant crushing, difficulty, but I don't know if I can call it misery because it's like, it just wasn't that bad. So if you're in a place of utter depression, then maybe, I guess that's the problem. Like, I guess you can't just pull yourself all the way out. Like, maybe I'm able to feel great all the time just because I wasn't that low to begin with. I don't fucking know. But, like, I don't know if, I mean, I'm not saying that Digi should, like, retract anything he said in his special episode. I'm just saying that, like, take it with a grain of salt. You can, like, totally try and prove him wrong. You're not the same person as him. Like for me, it's like when I'm making a video when I'm in the creative heat of it and when I've released it, when it's only like been out for like a handful of hours or so, I have this really great feeling of like my fear of mortality is completely gone. That's really the high that I chase, is that when I'm like, when I'm productively making something that is about to come out and it then came out in this window of time, everything feels fine. I don't even feel like the looming specter of death towards me and other people around me. So, and normally when it does, the rest of the time when I do have that kind of niggling feeling, like it's not that bad. It makes me a little bit, every once in a while. It's like a kind of anxiety, but it's not an I'm stopping or even slowing down on doing things anxiety. It's not that bad. Because I don't, like, I had like a phase of feeling, oh man, is my lifestyle not very good, like, I mean, particularly when I was a teenager, just in my room all the time, playing video games all the time, being on YouTube all the time, like, I felt like, oh no, I could be doing something that's much more productive, blah, blah, blah. But then one day, I kind of had the idea to make, like, a video, and I made the video. It's on my channel. It's called Definitively Proving the Worth of Video Games, TV, Music, Anime. That kind of stuff. It's a title, something like that. And in a way, I think it's definitely the most important video I've ever made in terms of understanding my mentality, I guess. Which is that, where is this so-called happy, perfect lifestyle where is this lifestyle you can have where you don't look around the corner and think there's a better one you could be having, right? What kind of life like when you're having your current lifestyle and you look at like one you'd like to have, and you have it. Let's say you accomplish it. Aren't you still gonna look around at someone else's life and think that guy is happy and I'm not? And like, where can you go? Where can you connect the dots to find this like career, friendship circle, activity, hobbyist lifestyle where just you don't feel that way? Where does it happen? If you're poor, you wish you had money. If you had money, you wish you could have a more simple life. It always goes in circles, right? And so when I came to that conclusion, I stopped worrying about it. It's like, I can make friends with people. I can go out and do things. I just don't want to at the moment. That was what I told myself like 3 years ago. And today I'm like, Yeah, yeah, I mean, I can drive, I can talk to people. I don't care if like people find me annoying, so it's like I can go out there into the world. If me and Digi and other people move to some big city with lots of social gatherings with lots of nerds, then I can whoa, and I can go around and meet people and do that. But like I'm not upset that I'm not like that right now. Oh, jeez. Oh, excuse me. I'm getting all burpy. Like as recently as 6 months ago, I had this feeling of not having anyone romantically in my life. Not having someone for sexual, not having someone for hug. I felt lonely. That was like a constant like ringing sensation in my head. Like, I wanna have that. It's bringing my mood down, man. And it's like, I guess some people would be like, oh man, even when you find a partner, you're still gonna have that unsatisfied feeling. You can't fill the void. You can only tend to it. And I got a partner, and at least for now, I feel completely fine. I don't have that feeling anymore. I'm like, oh yeah, I have a partner, and it's filled the void. I'm fine now. you know, if I wasn't like working to anything, then I'd have that feeling of, oh, I'm not progressing, right? I'd have that feeling of, oh, I'm not moving on. But I am. I am trying to make like more videos per month. For the most part, I'm satisfied with where my YouTube career is. It's just basically me just sort of standing in like suspended animation for whenever Digi needs me for something, and then I make the video. And it's usually 3 to 5 videos a month. I mean, it's been like 2 to 3 videos a month lately, so we're trying to get it back up to 4 because I would really like the more money to have. But like I'm fine with that. And if it were to evolve more and we were to make more videos and like really like grind in more work on that, I'd be totally down for that. But Digi just doesn't. It takes him a while to like build up the motivation to do that. I guess. He just says he has a hard time like pushing himself further or something. I don't know. Don't try to put words in his mouth, okay? But like in the meantime, whenever Digi's like not giving me more stuff to do, I'm just working on designing a video game. I'm still like learning how to do Python, how to do the Pygame plugin where you can design video games and shiz, and I'm doing that, and I feel great doing it. And like I was like, hey, I should like finally get some semblance of how music works. So I've been watching like videos on music theory and like how to write sheet music, and I'm like, yay, finally, I know this stuff. I'm learning this stuff. Yay, I feel so excited. At the skill level I currently have, I could make a functional and boring video game and make every aspect of it except for the music right now with the skills I currently have. So, and knowing that is really satisfying to me. And like knowing that I wasn't like that even 1 year ago is really satisfying to me. So I feel like there's just so much room to keep growing. Like imagine I make some video game and imagine it's really good and people love it. And I feel like it's really represents what I want video games to be, which is what I'm shooting for. It's a big ambition of mine, and I don't know how many years it's going to take to do, but it's like that's the thing. Like it's this really great vision I have that's still keeping me going with in terms of like waking up the next day. For 3 years I had this ambition of being a successful YouTube guy, or 2.5 years, something like that. I had that ambition, and like now that I've like moved in and now I'm working physically with the dang person who I'm working with on YouTube, I've basically like plateaued on that in that regard. I can keep going up, but at this point it's like smooth sailing for the most part, right? So that doesn't give me that sense of like looming ambition anymore. And so I felt like, ooh, I want a new looming ambition. I'm like, make a video game in your spare time, because making the videos doesn't take that much of my time away. So there you go. I mean, Digi says he spends like half of his time like just in his room alone, not knowing what to do with himself. I don't do that. Like, it's not to say I'm like completely wired, always moving to the next thing all the time. Like if you were to observe me, it would seem as though I'm spending a lot of time kind of like standing and thinking, or like pacing in my room, or like like laying in bed, but I'm not really that tired yet, or like laying in bed, but I've already woken up like 45 minutes ago. It's not like I'm always super productive, but I'm every single moment of my life, I'm thinking, what's the next thing I'm going to be doing? Like if I'm like cooking something in the kitchen, I'm like, okay, I'm going to finish this food and I'm either gonna eat it in the kitchen right now, or I'm gonna go into my room and like watch the new Hypocrite video while I eat it. Then when I'm done with that, I'm gonna push the plate over to the side, and I'm gonna like watch another 5 videos on music theory with my notebook and write that stuff down. And then when I'm done with that, I'm gonna put the dishes back in the kitchen, or I'm gonna throw the dishes away because they're styrofoam dishes. And then I'm gonna do this and that, and I'm always readjusting my plans, and things aren't going according to plan all the time. But my point is, I'm always thinking about the next thing I'm gonna do. And you might notice I'm being like really fast talky, being really stuttery. I'm making like broken English sentences sometimes because I'm trying to like emphasize like being the way that I feel in my own head. Lately to do my Davoo Hadron Collider series, I've been like deliberately slowing myself down and like feeling more like trying to do it more the way Digi does it or the way other people do it, where you're much more understandable and it's a much more consumable piece of media. But for the sake of my point in this episode, I want to like really just like talk the way that I feel. This is the way that I talk if I don't put any filter on myself. This is the way I feel if I don't put any filter on myself. I just feel good all the time. And it's like, so Digi saying don't look up to something because it's bullshit. Like, I don't care if what you look up to is bullshit, Like, I think that's perfectly fine. Like, if you get something out of it, even if it's based on lies, if it makes your life better, then who cares, Like, if you try to imitate Digi and and you're having a fun time doing it, but then you end up failing or you end up not liking it, well, who cares? As long as you had a fun time getting there, as long as you enjoyed the creative process of trying to get good at writing and vlogging or whatever else you want to do in your conquest to rip off Digi, It's like what's the loss? If you're sitting around not knowing what to do with your life, then why not try that lifestyle, It's fucking... I feel like maybe... I'm trying to think, like, where does my positivity come from? Maybe it comes from my dad, who's always positive. Where does he get his? He came from a broken family. He came from a family way more broken than, like, any of my friends talk about. He gets his confidence from God. He admires an all-powerful deity who I'm pretty sure doesn't exist. You can't get more flimsy than that. But he like completely goes for it, and it clearly works. And like that admiration is able to trickle down to me. Like, I'm able to then observe my dad's bullshit happiness and like absorb it into myself, and I'm not able to be as positive as my dad is, that's for sure, but I'm able to be like 85% as positive as he is. And so it's like, I feel it's like, and then if I have kids, then like they can look up to me, and maybe it'll be like a slow decrement of happiness, but maybe my dad, their grandpa, will just show God to them, and then they'll feel God, and like whatever, fucking... My point is, I admired Digi and Jesse's lifestyle, and I pursued it, and I achieved it, and it's working for me. So, he's wrong. Okay, so now that I've gone through and listened to everything that I just recorded, I wanted to add on some additional thoughts. The number one thing sticking out to me in my mind is, my art is not as good as Digi or Jesse's is. I never ended up making that many videos, but obviously they were never even able to get close to as good of a body of work as Digi has or Jesse does, or other people who I guess are fueled by anxiety and sadness. I mean, when I think about it, a lot of the art that I love the absolute most comes from very dark places. But like, so like the question is, does the way that I feel, does my attitude limit my ability to make that kind of stuff? I guess so, but still, it's not like I don't have dark places within me. It's just that they don't control me, I guess. I could still like look at them and then convert that into a script if I want to. So I don't know, like, I think it's more valid to just say I've been doing this for not nearly as long as Digi and Jesse have been. I haven't been writing for nearly as long as Digi has been, and I've basically stopped writing entirely in the last year, so it's like, I'm just not as old as either of them. They've had more time to practice on stuff in general, so of course they're way better than me in that regard. But yeah, I'm thinking of like old guy artists. You get people who are all like, I guess, just constantly crushed with depression all the time, and I guess they make the best stuff, and then the people who are generally happy are not. Like, they tend to make the people who seem more genuinely happy seem to be the ones working for Disney, making, like, cookie-cutter, technically competent stuff, I guess. I don't know, I'll figure that one out. And, another thing I want to say is that it's not like nothing gets me down. If anything, I am brought down way more easily than any of my friends. Like, Like, as I was editing the first 17 minutes of this, and I was hitting the space bar to pause and play a bunch, the space bar started getting stuck. And this is a $55 keyboard, and apparently I've been hammering away at that space bar so heavily that I'm actually starting to wear it out. And this keyboard isn't even a year old yet. It's probably like 9 to 7 months old. And that makes me sad. I really don't want to have to buy another $55 keyboard. But I also don't want to have to look up, how to fix the space bar and then risk making it more broken. Like, I'm just pressing it lightly now, and that's enough to like make it get stuck, and I don't like that. I like the space bar. That's why I push it so hard. Like, no matter what I'm doing, if it involves pushing the space bar, I'm pushing it very hard. It's not like I'm invincible. It's not that I have a thick skin. I don't have a thick skin when it comes to life. I just have a fast running ability when it comes to running away from problems. When it comes to avoiding things that are going to make me sad, I avoid them. I can't take them. If they are given to me, then I'm going to get pretty down, and I will spring back. But, I guess that is just I guess that's just what it's like to be normal and not depressed. So, whatever, but there you go. The last thing I was thinking of is that, yeah, I really think that my current attitude really was defined, really was set by when I made my video definitively proving the value or the worth of in a bunch of mediums of art. And interestingly enough, that was when I first drew my purple face with the thumbs up emoticon. Because I was trying to make a thumbnail for that video, and so I just took a picture of like a bunch of like one of my favorite video games, one of my favorite cartoons, one of my favorite anime, one of my favorite albums, and I arranged them in a circle. And I wanted like some more aesthetic cohesion, so I drew that thing just sort of impromptu to like put that in the middle of the icon there to like represent how I feel fine. So from now on, consider that emoticon thing to represent this attitude that I have explained in this episode. All right, that's what it means now. I now retroactively give it that meaning. Maybe it subconsciously had that meaning and I never realized. So there you go. See you around. Okay, hold on. One last thing I want to say. I forgot to mention this. And I'm not sure if I should say this because it's sort of me armchair psychologizing Digi without his permission. So if you take this idea, be very careful to remember it is me who said this, Digi, and no one else said it. I take full responsibility for this, okay? But me personally, I just feel like Digi is someone who will explain the way his life is with this very like firm definitiveness to it, and then like 5 months later he'll have a completely different perspective as to who he is and what he is, and it'll be a totally different story with a totally different emotional slant to it. And he'll feel like he'll have a totally different life. And now this is the definitive way that he truly is. And he says that he does that. He thinks of himself as like existing in 3-month increments. So, just keep in mind that like I wouldn't be surprised if like when we move to some city and he like finds people to hang out with and stuff to do all the time, that someone enters his life or some hobby enters his life, something changes, and then suddenly he doesn't at all feel the way he did that the way he feels right now. I wouldn't be surprised at all if that's the case. I know that like when you're climbing up like your goals and ambitions and they're not satisfying to you and they're not giving you the happiness you wanted, that you feel like maybe it never exists. You can just go up the ladder infinitely and you'll never get there. I don't know. Like, I feel like maybe for certain people, it doesn't exist in this world, in this timeline, but, like, hypothetically, there could be. Like, imagine if the only thing that can make you happy is to play rock and roll, but you were born in the 1400s. So, hypothetically, then, there is no ladder for you. Maybe that is the case. Maybe if I was born before the internet, I could have never found my vessel. And maybe for you, whoever is listening, maybe what will truly satisfy you won't be invented until long after your time or was uninvented thousands of years ago. Maybe you could only be satisfied out in the wild before civilization. So maybe for certain people, there is no true happiness out there in the world in which they live. But I kind of feel like every human brain, except for like really massively fucked up ones, like ones with actual like identifiable genetic disorders where like you're like uncontrollably banging your head in the wall every 20 minutes, that kind of thing. Except for those people, I kind of wonder, does every human brain like have present this puzzle of how to achieve happiness, and is the puzzle always theoretically solvable? I like to think that there is. I like to think that even if you've gotten to an extent where you think, like, this, once I go up the next rung, I will achieve happiness, but it doesn't, and you think, oh, I guess it must never exist. I say keep trying. I say keep trying, because I think eventually it will happen. You know, like, I just kind of think it will. Like, eventually things do kind of fucking work out, and I mean, if you go your whole life and it never works out, then oh well, you're dead now, so you can't prove me wrong. Ha 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 ha. Na 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 na.